Hello, Dr.Victor here. Yeah, I know, I haven't made a video in a while. With the outbreak of the coronavirus, I hope you're safe, staying indoors, limiting contact with other people as much as possible. But I thought this was the perfect time to talk about a subject that you can safely do indoors right now with no risk. Fasting. It's also free, you don't need any provisions, no food to do it. So we're starting a series related to fasting, where we're gonna talk about fasting, what it is it good, why is it good, what are the benefits, if there are any benefits of fasting. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification if you like the series and the content. So what is fasting? Should you do it? Well, fasting is the voluntary refrainment from eating for a period of time. Also, it usually implies a reduced energy intake. So fasting can be of different types. It can be intermittent fasting, which basically means eating patterns in which individuals go extended time periods, for example, at least 16 hours to 48 hours with little or no energy intake. Also, intermittent fasting can be done in certain different ways, for example, alternate day fast, where you fast for one day and then the next day you don't fast, and so on. Also, on the days you fast, you have 0 calorie intake. Or you can do an alternate day modified fast, which basically means that in the fasting day you do more than 60% calorie restriction. Another form of fasting is 2 days a week, where on 2 days a week that you have chosen you don't eat anything, but usually those 2 days are not one after the other. Another type of fasting is periodic fasting, with a higher number of days fasted, from minimum of 2 days to almost 21 days or even higher. Another form of fasting is time-restricted feeding, which basically means that in a certain day you lower the amount of hours allowed to eat. This doesn't mean necessarily that you limit the amount of calories in a day. It just means that you limit the window in which you eat those calories. Most of our lives and related to nutrition, we have been taught that fasting is not healthy, and for optimal health we need at least 3 to even 6 meals a day. But of course, only in the last few years this notion has been disputed. Now let's look in the history of our evolution, human evolution, to see the role of fasting. Where basically, throughout our whole human evolution, fasting was an integral part. Brianna Stubbs, PhD, lead translational scientist at the Bock Institute for Research on Aging, said there would have definitely been periods during human evolution where we just wouldn't have been able to eat for a day or two. Homo sapiens were getting their food primarily either through hunting, foraging or fishing. For example, in the polar regions, Eskimos relied mainly on wild animal protein, and in the south regions of Africa they ate mostly wild plant foods. So throughout Homo sapiens evolution, so around 500,000 years, of course there were periods of fasting, because as we saw, we ate opportunistically. Out of these 500,000 years, agriculture has been around for only the last 10,000 years, so only a small blimp in this human evolution, when people started eating more regularly and more often, and food was more readily available. You can imagine, especially in the winter times in our human evolution, that we would mainly get our food either throughout hunting or fishing. So fasting was an integral part of our evolution, and humans evolved with fasting in mind, and our body and chemistry adapted to fasting. So for those who are saying that fasting was not part of our life and is not natural, it's just not true. There is no scientific basis for our current 3 meals a day plus snacking eating pattern. So for optimal health, how many meals per day should you consume? If only there was a study comparing a small amount of meals per day to more frequent meals per day. Well, there is a study. In this study, subjects who ate 1 or 2 meals a day had a reduction in weight per year compared with those who ate about 3 meals a day. On the other hand, eating more than 3 meals a day and snacking was associated with a relative increase in weight. Basically, most of the studies suggest that the more meals you have throughout a day, the more chance of you getting overweight. How about that ancient myth that says that fewer meals a day and fasting reduces your resting metabolic rate, so your metabolism? In this study, resting metabolic rate and appetite control increased in the low-frequency diet. And again, most of the studies show that fewer meals a day do not decrease your metabolic rate. To a certain point. Of course, fasting for about 7 days, not eating anything, will most likely reduce your metabolic rate. Let's not bash frequent meals a day. I scoured the internet to find benefits of eating more meals a day. Small, frequent meals per day may promote higher energy and fluid intakes, reduce gastrointestinal related symptoms, including vomiting, bloating, or fullness, and prevent postprandial hypotension in patients with primary autonomic failure. So basically, if you want to gain more weight or you have certain gastrointestinal symptoms, small frequent meals per day could be of benefit. But for the rest of the population, small frequent meals a day have no benefit. But when describing fasting and science and benefits of fasting, go for at least 12 hours of fasting. Now, an interesting thing related to how we eat and when we eat throughout the day is this study, which basically showed that 50% of people eat within a window of more than 15 hours. Basically means under 9 hours of fasting throughout a day, which is not good. Another amazing study related to how we eat is this one, which you can basically see the eating patterns of about 100 people. And what did they eat? Exactly throughout the day. As you can see, a trend of eating bad, unhealthy foods in the later part of the day. In the evening, like Indian sweets, snacks, ice cream, and in what part of the day were certain foods eaten. So the point I'm trying to make and the studies make related to fasting and our modern lifestyle is that we no longer have sufficient periods of fasting throughout a day. There should be a balance between eating and fasting, but nowadays this balance is of course more onto eating, and this in the long term will result into many negative effects, as we will see. Why do you think it's even called breakfast? Because you break your fast. These days most of the people don't even have a proper fast at night. They have a snack at 11 PM and eat first thing in the morning, so not even 8 hours of fasting. That's not a proper, healthy overnight fast. That's like a mini fast. That's why fasting is nowadays even more important, with an abundance of food. So in the next video we will discuss the benefits of fasting. What are exactly the benefits of fasting? Why should you fast? Thanks for watching, hope you liked the video. Subscribe, like, favorite, Twitter, Tumblr if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see each other next time. Salut!